Well, welcome to Your In Depth, where we walk through usually and break down our favorite fictional universes. With me is Gerbil Burrow, and I'm Jacob.
Hello.
So usually we do walk through the episode. I usually take notes and I do like a a walkthrough. I narrate it as we go along, and Evan interrupts me and stops, and we break down a couple spots. But
As I
we're going
do.
to do something different because the premiere for the Ahsoka series had just come out 2 days ago at what time was it?
I think it
Like
was yesterday.
9 Eastern. It was definitely Tuesday because I
Was it?
stayed up late Tuesday and watched it.
Oh, I totally missed it because I watched the first episode Wednesday morning.
Well, did you watch the second episode?
Yeah, I watched that
Okay, cool.
last night. No, I think I watched that this morning after I got off work.
Gotcha. I see. Well, either way, this episode we're thinking is going to kind of take the place of our normal discussion, because usually when something new in Star Wars comes out or something we want to talk about, often I'll call Evan on my way home from work and we'll end up chatting about it. Well, with this, we have not said a single thing about it, and we've been holding off because we want this recording to be that discussion, because often, I don't know, it's just we're trying something different. I don't know how it'll be. We'll probably maybe eventually still walk through and break it down like normal, but we thought we'd just do something a bit different now. So that's what we're doing. But I have pointed out a couple of things and wrote them down. So I have some notes that I'm going to refer to, but it's nothing like what I used to do or what I've done before. So I guess without any further holding.
Before jumping into our normal discussion that we
I'm
have.
doing the same format and you still freaking do something.
I know,
What?
you're about to jump into our actual conversation.
No, I was just going to say, I guess let's get on with the episode is basically where I was going, which I guess if we want to do something beforehand, what?
Normally we do, any sort of news.
Yeah.
When we're covering Lord of the Rings
It's been a
news,
while.
covering Star Wars, we do Star Wars news. I have seen a few things. I don't know if it's out yet. I haven't really been up to date on it, but I saw they're doing a season 2. Was it 2 or 3 of the Acolyte series, or not Acolyte? The
Visions.
Visions, yes.
Yeah, I don't
I saw
know
something about a new season for Visions. I don't know if it's come out on Disney Plus yet or not.
I'm not sure either. I didn't even watch the first one, honestly. I
Yeah.
saw an episode or two. It was just kind of like, entertaining enough, but it's not really my thing.
And then also
way, I
I'd seen a few things on some new Star Wars movies in the works.
Mm-hmm.
The one I saw the biggest, the most news about was, I guess they're planning on doing another movie with Rey as I don't know if she's the main character in the movie, but she's going to be coming back as kind of like truthfully, what I think they should have done with Luke, with starting a new Jedi temple and trying to rebuild the Order. And whatever conflicts come with that and what she deals with.
Mm-hmm.
As I'm sure the listeners know, not a big fan of the sequel trilogy myself. But I'm kind of hoping the producers of this new movie, I think they've got like 2 or 3 in the works. I'm hoping these producers take what feedback and negativity they got from the sequel trilogy and do something better, because I will say I do think Rey Skywalker could be a good character, like a really good character to follow and all that, but they just need to do it.
There's potential there, but what we've seen so far, but definitely potential. Yeah.
I could, and it sounds weird to say, but I could almost see using Rey almost as kind of like a Yoda type figure, where we don't follow Rey, but she pops up to advise this Jedi or that Jedi here and there.
Gotcha.
I could see them.
Not equivalent to Yoda, but looking at his use and his character in the movies,
right?
And
not
shows
like
that kind of figure,
the power of Yoda and all that stuff, and the knowledge of Yoda. Right?
I get what you're saying.
I could see maybe if they do something like use her as they used Yoda, as this is the Grand Master that pops up here and there to offer it, words of wisdom and advice, from their own journeys and experiences and their use of the Force, yada yada yada. That's my hope for this new movie that they're working on. I don't think there's a release date yet for it, or even a release year. But
Never heard
I
anything.
do remember seeing several things about it. So I wanted to mention that.
Okay. I thought there was another movie mentioned, some droid story from Taika Waititi or whatever his name is,
Not
guy,
familiar.
but I haven't heard much about it. I thought there was just something in
Yeah.
the works, but either way,
Um, and the last thing as well. This is not like an update or news of new Star Wars stuff, but it was something I saw recently that I thought was kind of interesting to hear. And it was
yeah.
Dave Filoni. He was talking, doing an interview, right? And he brought up, canon versus legends,
Mm,
um, Star Wars stories and whatnot. And it kind of cracked me up because my brother and I talk about it all the time. Star Wars, we're both big fans, and he's always referring back to legend stuff, books and comics and all that kind of stuff, and
right.
and I'm always like, well, yes, that's legends, but we're talking canon Star Wars here, not legends. And it just cracked me up though because Dave Filoni was talking about this, and he said he had a conversation with George Lucas at one point, relatively recently, probably the last 5-10 years, right? So relatively recently, and uh, according to George Lucas, the only canon Star Wars that is out there, at least while he was still in charge of Lucasfilms, and even as Disney's now in charge of Lucasfilms, um, the only canon Star Wars is the movies and the TV shows. None of the books, none of the comics, none of the games are
Yeah.
canon Star Wars.
Yeah.
So like even based on what Dave Filoni said there, is not even like Jedi Survivor and Fallen Order are canon according
Yeah, and
to
I feel
that.
like those games, though, I've always kind of been skeptical on if they're
Mm.
considered to be. But like the comics, I figured those were, but that's kind of an
Yeah.
interesting.
Dave Filoni did comment on it as well, saying that like yes, those are all legends, but he and his team that he works with, they're in Lucasfilms and all the Star Wars stuff. They like to see what the fans are saying online, and like the Reddits, and like YouTube and
Right.
all those places, Instagram, Twitter, whatever else. Um, and they'll take some of the legend stuff and pull it into canon based on what the fans like about the legends, what they don't like about the legend stuff.
Yeah.
So some of that legend stuff does get pulled into canon. Like I think the big one was like the Sith Oath, you know, when what's his name plays Darth Maul in Clone Wars. I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Sam Witwer.
Yes, thank you. When Sam Witwer introduces that into canon Star Wars and the Clone Wars, uh, they pull some stuff like that and introduce some of the legend stuff. But that was just another thing that I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, it
that
makes
I
sense.
didn't
I
know
just never
before.
really thought about it, I guess.
Yeah.
But, huh. Well, what were your thoughts on the Ahsoka premiere?
Um, episode 1, I I have overall I thought it was very good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm a big Ahsoka Tano fan. Um,
Season 1 especially. Been a while since we uploaded. I have to include a pedo joke.
But anyways, I am a big Ahsoka Tano fan. I think she is a
Mhm.
phenomenal character throughout Star Wars, throughout
Let's
the
be
Clone
clear, I do
Wars.
agree. I just messed with Evan a lot because like she's what 14 in season 1. I say
Um,
because you've said before, like in Rebels and stuff, you're like, you're just like I am in love with Ahsoka. I'm like, okay, yeah, but Rebels, dude, she grows up, and like obviously you're
yeah.
talking about the the older version. But either way,
um,
I do like her character a
yeah,
lot too.
and I loved watching her in Clone Wars. I thought she was a phenomenal character. She definitely, in the beginning, I'll agree, because there was a lot of hate for Ahsoka in the beginning of Clone Wars. Um, but then I think there's like a 4 episode kind of arc for Ahsoka where the producers worked on her character and made her a lot better.
Mhm.
Um, I loved her in Rebels. I think she showed up just as much as she needed to, and it wasn't overplayed, and it didn't like cast shadow on the main characters of Rebels. I thought
Yeah.
she was phenomenal in that. And then when we got introduced to her in The Mandalorian for her first live action appearance, I thought it was a great, appearance as well. It showed um, kind of the ruthlessness she can have, not being part of the Order anymore, and I think it definitely added to her character. And now this show, I think, is just building on that even more. Um, and I really do like what they've done with it. I think I don't remember if I kind of commented on it or not when we were covering Mandalorian when she appeared. But I like their actor choice for Ahsoka. I think she
Hmm.
fits the choice very well. Um, I think she does a lot of credit to the character. Um, I loved seeing Sabine Wren appear in live action
Yeah.
as well, and uh, General Syndulla, Hera Syndulla. I like
Hmm.
seeing her. And I do also like they had the little hologram of Ezra's
Of
last
Ezra.
message to
Yeah.
Sabine. I thought that was a very nice touch as well.
Yeah.
I will say one thing that I was a little bit disappointed in,
Yeah.
because season 3 Mandalorian, we got a little sneak peek at Zeb,
Oh yeah.
and he appeared
Well,
in Mandalorian for a
I
brief
mean,
second. For a brief
yes.
second, it was it was like it, it was one of those things that like they didn't give the character a name in the Mandalorian. They didn't say that is Zeb,
Right.
but he's the only Zabrak we have seen other than was it what's the master's name in Fallen Order?
Oh. Ooh. I don't remember.
I can't remember his name, but those are the only two Zabraks we've
Gerald
seen.
Gerald DePaul? No, that
Yes,
was that the master, or
I
was
believe
that the
so.
dude that you're pursuing, like trying to figure out? He's got
No,
the holograms and stuff.
I don't remember now.
I don't
We have
know.
to go back
Either
and check.
way,
But
it's
yeah,
not
we've
canon.
only
It doesn't matter.
right, but we've only seen two Zabraks in any recent Star Wars stuff.
Hmm.
So it's like, who else can that be? And then obviously the voice, because he does talk for that brief 5 seconds or whatever it is in
Yeah.
Mandalorian. Like, okay, that's Zeb. You know,
Right.
I was a little disappointed we didn't get to see Zeb um, up here.
But I mean, also this was only the premiere. I
Right.
mean, you can't. I don't know. I know that, like,
Um,
I don't know. Go ahead.
yeah, I mean, it is the premiere, but I mean, even in the second episode as well, we don't see Zeb.
Right.
You know,
Um.
which I was a little upset about. You know, I was kind of hoping to see the whole crew of the Ghosts, even if they weren't all in the same place at the same time. I
Yeah.
was kind of hoping to see the crew of the Ghosts all in the show, at least in the first or second episode in some
Yeah. You
capacity.
want to know the part that I enjoyed the most?
Was let me guess, Chopper.
Yeah. I loved that, dude. I love it. I love Chopper. I loved the how, like, he's like
Uh,
searching around, and it's just like, as she's flying, whatever. I think
yeah,
that's in the second episode,
yeah.
but I love the goofiness they chose for that droid. Also, something I did look into and I was trying to figure out was timeline of
Mm-hmm.
this, because, like, obviously I figured it was around the time of the Mandalorian, and looking into it, yeah, it is.
It's Here's the
Because
thing though.
what?
Or sorry, no, go ahead because you might actually say it. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yes. So initially, I was like, well, maybe it's shown beforehand. And actually, there is a spot where I think it was before, because there's a scene in it at the end of episode 2 where it lines up right in line with the end of Rebels.
See,
And
that's the
so
thing
there's the
though.
parallelism.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm not sure, because the uh, Morgan Elsbeth got saved, whatever, from the
Mm,
two new villains. Um, she got saved, but she was captured in the Mandalorian season 2, and that's
yeah.
why she's on that ship. So that episode that she was in takes place in 9 ABY,
No.
which what?
Or yes, because 9 ABY is
Right,
Battle
correct.
of.
It's after the Battle of Yavin, so it's
Yes,
after the
yes,
fall of
yes.
the Empire,
Yep.
even.
So
Um,
I'll say this: both episodes of
yes,
Ahsoka are taking place after the fall of the Empire. All
correct.
events, which
But
means the
yeah,
final scene of Rebels
yes,
takes place after the fall of the Empire. They do a big time jump
Yes.
for the final scene of Rebels,
Hmm.
all the way to this moment, and that's like how you said we see the same scene at the end of Rebels as we see in Episode 2 of the
Yeah.
Ahsoka show.
Um, so that was something I noticed, and I thought that was pretty cool. Just thinking about it and trying to figure out. That means also, though, that from the point of Ezra disappearing till now was 10 years.
Hmm.
So he been gone for a while. That's a
Yeah,
lot of time to be
yeah.
like. So also thinking about the motivation behind Sabine being like wanting to find him, like obviously everybody there that like is wanting to search him had,
Hmm.
obviously they had a deep connection, but like 10 years to
Right.
still be like, I'm gonna find this guy. I don't know.
Well, and
Like
that makes me wonder as well, though.
if you disappeared a year from now, I'm like, he's dead. Like
Thanks.
I would give up. I'm just saying.
But that makes me wonder, though, um, what efforts have been happening since Ezra disappeared up until this moment to try and find him?
And that's another interesting. I
Because
wonder.
the way Rebels ends, right before the
Yeah.
Ahsoka show came out, it implies that Ahsoka and Sabine are leaving immediately to go find
Yeah.
Ezra.
Yeah.
But now with the Ahsoka show out, it shows us that no, they waited till after the Empire fell, and after all of the events that we saw in Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett, you
Yeah.
know, to actually leave and go try and find Ezra.
Which, to be fair, though, obviously a lot of efforts probably took place to
Right.
get to this point to be like, let's go find him. Guaranteed is because they actually have a direction to go. They have new evidence to be like, I think this way. We need to go and chase these guys to get the coordinates to go.
Right.
I think that, it's like they probably,
Mm.
they probably made a lot of effort, but it's like, what really could they do? They don't know where he went.
Right. One thing that I had the initial thought when I watched the episode for the first time is when Ahsoka is at that old temple when she
Hmm.
first finds the map, right?
Yeah.
And it shows the figure standing off behind her.
I do
Right?
have a comment on that as well, but yeah.
My mind instantly went to Darth Vader.
Why Darth Vader?
Like I know Darth Vader's well and dead at this point, right? But it
Wait,
just
what figure are you talking about,
it's
actually?
the droid.
Oh.
Where you can't tell it's a droid at first because it's so far back.
Oh.
And they have that somewhat similar shaped head to Darth Vader's helmet, just in the outline, not in actual like when you see the face in its entirety, But my mind instantly went to Darth Vader. Ahsoka's having some sort of vision of Darth Vader. She's, because like we see in Rebels, we see her confront Darth Vader and fight him. Right. And so my thought went back to she's in an old temple. Right. She just found this map to someone that she really cares about and she wants to find him.
Mm-hmm.
She, for however long, thought her master was dead only to find out that he's actually this villain.
Mm-hmm.
And, so my mind went old temple, Jedi temple. Someone that's been gone for a long time that she misses, Ezra and Darth Vader, or Ezra and Anakin.
Are you saying like a lot of parallelism?
Yeah, there's a bunch of parallels going on in my mind that I was piecing together, and so it was like, okay, Ezra and Anakin. She probably misses both of them. She wants to find Ezra because she found Anakin, but found out that he was bad, and she had to fight him. So she wants to maybe try and fix that and do something different. And this is all things going on in my head as I'm seeing this scene.
Right,
and
but
then,
also, sorry, I don't mean, I kind of want to cut you off, but I won't. Keep going.
And then my mind just went to like when Anakin in episode 2 is having his dreams about his mother, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Anakin in episode 3 having dreams about Padme, both of them dying.
Yeah.
Well, death has been a big deal for Ahsoka all these years. And so all these things were pinging in my head. And I was like, she's having like a hallucination or a vision or something of Darth Vader. Just like in the Kenobi show, we saw Obi-Wan having a vision or having a hallucination of Anakin standing off in the
distance, right?
Yeah. And so it's just in my mind because they brought Hayden Christensen back for Kenobi.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if they brought him back for Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And so like all these little dots were connecting in my mind, and so I was like Darth Vader, and then it was a droid, and I was not gonna lie, a little upset about it.
So you saying that about the parallelism, but there was also a lot of other elements to this that I was like, wait a minute. For example, the two quote unquote Jedi
Mm,
approaching a ship. They're
yeah,
there to,
yeah,
there's the commanders and stuff kind of skeptical, but also like, oh, okay. There's distrust. Um, and then obviously instead of
very parallel
well,
to Phantom Menace.
right, but also obviously things went a little bit differently.
Yeah,
Um,
just a
but
skosh.
between that, the
Oh,
hallway scene with Bale and Skull doing,
mm,
he's
yeah.
fighting and stuff. Rebels. Uh, wait, I wrote Rebels. I meant Mandalorian,
Mm.
and then like Rogue One.
Well,
That's typical
well,
kind
that
of hallway
matches like
scene with
Mandalorian.
people.
It matches Rogue One, and even a little bit into Phantom Menace as well,
Yeah.
as
Oh,
Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are fighting through the hallways to get to the
actually, yeah.
bridge as well. So
It's
there's even
just
a
fights
parallel
that take
there.
place in a hallway.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
And then it parallels with this episode of Clone Wars and this episode of Clone Wars and this episode.
Well, yeah. Um,
But it is a very common thing they like to do in Star Wars. The
yeah.
hallway Jedi fight scenes or Force user fight scenes is a fairly common
Right.
thing. You can even make the
Something else.
argument that it parallels to Revenge of the Sith with Anakin and Obi-Wan.
You know, no, but because it was fighting rebels, that's why I wrote rebels,
Mm,
because I was talking about the
yeah,
individual look. Obviously, they're New Republic now,
right.
but like, yeah, that's
They
what I
still
meant
got
by
like the bucket
that.
helmets.
Yeah, they do. Something else that I noticed was that when Ahsoka went into that puzzle room,
Mm,
it reminded me heavily of Jedi Fallen Order with the Zepho.
mm,
You've got these like ancient kind of
yeah.
beings and this kind of like cryptic, like, I don't know, all this stuff. It was kind of interesting to me. I'm kind of curious more on like what those figures are that she saw in that,
My
because
initial
it
thought.
is a map to an ancient or a far away civilization.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I don't know.
My initial thought when she was in that temple and she found the map
Hmm.
was the father, the son, and the daughter.
Ooh,
That was my initial thought.
there were three.
Yeah.
The depictions didn't quite look like
No.
it, but just the idea that it
The
makes
depictions
sense.
didn't line up, but that's where my mind went to initially.
Yeah.
And then after I saw them a little closer up and realized that's not what it is, my mind went to the episode of Clone Wars in season 6 where Yoda goes and he meets those strange force entities in
Mm,
season 6 of the Clone Wars, just towards the end.
right.
And they've got like the different masks with the different expressions on their face or on their
Yeah.
masks. That's where
Yeah.
my mind went to next. But then there's only
Oh,
3 of them in where Ahsoka was in the temple, whereas I think there was 5 in the Clone Wars episode with Yoda.
yeah. That I didn't even think about those, but obviously, yeah, with the number of them, it doesn't quite
Yeah.
make as much sense. But
But that's where my mind went. Both
there
of
was.
those places with that scene.
Did you pick up even on? It was somewhere around the beginning. The transition between scenes made the same sound as like earlier episodes, shows, and whatnot, or movies, but also Lego Star Wars. When you like go between different
Mm-hmm.
rooms, there's this sound that plays, and it was in it, and it like was an instant hit of like nostalgia. But
No, I
I
didn't
tried
pick up on that.
I tried finding it and I can't. So I don't know,
Yeah.
but it was
Um,
that was kind of cool to me. Um, something in the first episode I wanted to bring up was Governor Azadi. That was really cool on Lothal to see
mm,
Clancy Brown,
yeah.
right? Yeah, Brown, yeah, to return as him because he played Ryder Azadi in Rebels, and so now you
Mm,
have him there, and that kind of led me to kind of piece things together because I don't know if anybody listening has listened to for a while, but anytime there's a voice actor or anything that has extensive work, I kind of nerd out a little bit trying to see what else he's been in. And Clancy Brown has
Uh,
been in a lot,
oh yeah.
um, obviously, but a lot of Star Wars too. He isn't by any means new to Star Wars. In 2002, he was in the video game Bounty Hunters. He played a Mandalorian character named Montrose, I think. But he was the Mandalorian turned bounty hunter who competed to be the template for the clones with Jango Fett. So it's obviously a video game, that one. It's not canon, but it's kind of cool
Right.
that he was in it. Also, he voiced Savage Opress, as well as a few bounty hunters, some Mandalorians. He played Berg, the big red Deveronian dude in Mandalorian, and as well as the Inquisitor in Tales of the Jedi. So that was kind of a cool thing. Obviously, also Mr.
Yeah.
Krabs, and I love that. But,
yeah, I recognize him whenever I see him in a movie or anything. I recognize him from Starship Troopers.
yeah, he was in that too.
That's the one that always goes off in my mind when I see him in a
Mhm.
movie or a show. Is Starship Troopers?
Yeah. Something else. I don't know if you noticed this in the in that scene, in that same one where Governor Azadi is like talking and they're celebrating, and then he has a few words from General or whatever General Sabine Wren?
Commander,
Was she
I think.
Commander? Okay. I don't know, whatever it was, Sabine, and she's not there. And he's looking around for her, and he turns and asks a senator, right, to stall.
Yeah. Yep.
Did you pick up on who this was?
No, I did not.
He had him. It was Senator Jai Kell. Jai Kell was one of the Imperial cadets when Ezra was in that academy for a little bit. He was one of those.
Okay.
And he ended up,
is he the one that Ezra
with,
escapes with?
I don't recall if he's
initially?
that one or if he's just one of the other ones, but he does help Ezra and they're in communication. And he kind of, I think maybe stays back and is like a spy for a little bit.
Gotcha.
I'm not 100% sure, but he was in Rebels and he was an old character, and I thought that was really cool. Speaking of this scene though, too, we're looking for Sabine. He's looking for Sabine, and she is freaking bolting down the highway, which leads me to a sponsor.
Sunday at the Lethal Highway turn drag strip. Watch Sabine Wren break the sound barrier in her 614 AVA speeder bike. You're not going to want to miss this. Grab your friends, grab your family, grab your loft cat. You don't want anyone to miss out this Sunday.
So,
nice.
you want to know a fun fact about when I recorded that?
What?
So I get off work at 4:30. I wrote it at 4:15, and then on my way home read it in my car. So I was just driving along. I turned down the background noise and just freaking screaming in my mic. So fun thing there, but that was today's ad. It was low effort. Don't judge me. Anyway, so I did think that was cool seeing Jai Kell. When we do see her go back home, it is in Ezra's old home.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really cool seeing a live action Lothcat.
Mm-hmm.
That was neat. But also she's not okay. So let's talk about the villains.
Okay.
Let's just go into that before I say anything about like kind of what happened, because I don't think what do you think they are? Like, obviously they're not Inquisitors because Vader's gone.
Right.
And I'm not fully convinced that they're Sith.
Well, see, here's the thing.
One of them obviously is a former Inquisitor, but
right, because it's not because when you say villains, right, we think I think of the two. I'm gonna draw
the
a
two
blank
with
on
the
their
lightsaber,
names. Right.
and
I'm gonna draw a blank on their names for a while now.
Nayland Skull and I don't remember the girl's name. I don't even know if it was ever said.
I think it was said once.
But yeah, it was. it was not
But
very.
yeah, that's those are the two I think of when I think of the when you say villains, as well as Morgan. Obviously, she's going to be a
Yeah,
big part of this as well. Um, but there was that fourth one who had the what looked like Inquisitor outfit on, and still had the Inquisitor dual lightsaber
right.
going on. They could spin and all that. Um, I do
Oh,
like that the guy again. I'm gonna draw a blank on his name.
Balin.
Balin. I do like that he was a former Jedi that survived Order 66 and survived all this time. And I think it very well fits into the events after Order 66. The Jedi Purge and all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean, it would make sense that there's still Jedi out there in hiding, even though the Empire has fallen. You know,
Yeah.
and it would also make sense that some of those Jedi fall to the dark side. Like a one that falls to the dark side in the books, in one of the books, is Quinlan Voss.
Mm-hmm.
He survives Order 66 and he falls to the dark side, and him and Ventress have a whole thing. And then she dies saving him, which actually somehow brings him back to the light. Uh,
Mm.
you know, um,
So
and so it
yeah,
makes very, very much makes sense that this fallen Jedi would show up, 6-7 years after the fall of the Empire, and
hmm,
he's not a Jedi anymore.
yeah. So it
Oh,
is.
and with that, sorry,
Go ahead.
with that, I do want to say I do love that they brought the droid back. Hu Yang.
Hu Yang. Yeah.
I love that they brought him back and he's chilling with Ahsoka.
I absolutely love that as well. I also love who they chose to voice him because it is David Tennant. He is a British actor, I believe, but he was for sure in Doctor Who. He was the 10th
Mm.
Doctor, and he was always this kind of just energetic, like
Yeah,
goofy dude. And I absolutely loved
yeah.
his version of the Doctor because I
And
love that show.
yeah,
But
and I bring him
just
up because we were
his
talking
voice.
about Balin, and Hu Yang is the one that recognizes Balin's lightsaber,
Right.
and
Yeah.
that's how we learned that Balin used to be a Jedi before he says anything.
Right.
Uh,
But yeah, Balin Skull. The Inquisitor's name is Marok, and then the other girl is Shin Hati.
mm, yeah,
And then obviously we got Morgan Elsbeth.
yeah.
Um,
Um,
so what I
and
thought, yeah, no, go ahead.
just one thing I loved and I find really interesting with Morgan Elsbeth is that she says she was a night sister.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
That was an interesting throwback, and I'm kind of like wondering. I'm like, oh, okay. Obviously, not many of those left.
Right.
There is one if you want to consider Jedi Survivor as canon.
Right.
There's her, and then there's now Morgan.
Mhm.
I don't know of any others because everybody, I mean, they got
Right.
wiped out.
I mean, arguably Mother Talzin's still out there somewhere, you know,
I guess she could be.
just because of what we see in the Clone Wars, and her quote unquote death. Right.
Yeah.
But it's this weird thing and weird night sister magic. I'm not convinced she's dead.
Hmm.
I don't know if we'll ever see her pop up again, but I'm not convinced she's dead.
Yeah.
So
I-
arguably, there's 3 left.
Yeah.
Somewhere out there in the galaxy.
And there may be more, but this is just
Right.
thinking. But so my thoughts on them though, obviously the one is a former Inquisitor. That's pretty obvious with his lightsaber or her lightsaber. We don't know.
Right.
But
I do wonder still if even a former Inquisitor, because I mean the Inquisitors still might be a thing, part of the
that's
remnants of the
true.
Empire.
I mean, they were kind of
I'm not
loyal
sure.
to Vader though. That was kind of his thing,
Right.
and he's dead. I don't know. But the thing that I thought was interesting was I don't know if these guys are. I don't think they're Sith. Obviously, they're not good. They're kind of
Right.
they're leaning towards bad. But like
They're definitely dark Jedi.
yes, and if anything, that's what they are.
Yeah.
And what I thought was interesting is Balin obviously was a Jedi. Once the Order fell and stuff, it just kind of seems like there's elements of him and how they compose themselves. And then also, did you notice that I forget her name? Something in
Uh,
Shin? The Shin?
I,
Might have been Shin.
His
Anyway,
apprentice.
yeah, his apprentice has a Padawan braid.
Mm.
Did you notice that?
I didn't pick up on it.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, she does.
I mean, she definitely
And
gave me
so
that kind of like creepy Sith vibe.
she
Like
did, but
that
also
dark,
like
creepy, mysterious Sith vibe, whereas Balin did not.
right.
Like Balin gave me that vibe of like a survivor of Order 66 just trying to get by in the galaxy.
Yeah. And
That's the
that is
vibe I got
I
from
would agree
him.
with that. With her, I don't know. I mean, I definitely get that weird, creepy, like ambitious kind of like
Mm-hmm.
evil, but at the same time, I also kind of have this like somewhat of a confusion, but also like a learner still.
Yeah.
But obviously still bad.
Right.
But I don't know. I am definitely intrigued by the villains in it because like they are kind of more I don't know. They're not like just super bad Sith or like hardcore alliance with Thrawn.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of this interesting difference. But I don't know. Who knows what they
Right.
are? I just
Well,
I thought it
because
was
like
weird.
Sith in the past, whether we visit Legends or canon, right? You look at like Darth Maul, Savage Opress, Palpatine, Darth
Hmm.
Vader. You go back into Legends, you look at Revan, you look at Jun T'Pol, or not Jun T'Pol. I'm drawing a blank on the guys. It's something similar to that. But you look at like Tulak Horde is one from Legends. Malik, all these different Sith from Legends and canon. They're all brutal
Hmm.
and like relentless and heartless and just obliterate everything in front of them to get to their goals. And you almost pick up on that immediately with them. It's like there's no questioning what they are. But and mainly with Balin, in this show, not for me at least, not so much with his apprentice, but with him, I don't get that I am an evil Sith that wants to rule the galaxy and destroy the Jedi.
And
From
that's what I'm
him, right? From
that's
him,
what I'm
I get
saying.
like a he truly believes that Thrawn is going to be best for the galaxy, and that's going to bring peace, or that's going to be the
Oh,
best thing. Like, it's this weird thing of like it seems like he's a dark Jedi. Like he still, I almost wonder if he still has part of his Jedi still in him. Like the good of for the people, but he's turned to the dark side to an extent,
hmm.
to try and achieve that. He almost reminds me of like a Count Dooku.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, where he's just so driven by like what he believes. It's his
right,
true belief that he's not like giving into hatred. He's not doing these things.
right.
He's just he's got principle
Mm-hmm.
and he's got where his stuff
Yeah,
aligns, and that's where he's
and
going.
because
That's his
like
beliefs.
if we look at Count Dooku, yes, he sided with Palpatine and part of the Clone Wars, all that stuff, right? But unlike every other Sith, he never gets the Sith eyes,
Yeah.
right? Now, realistically, the reason is because Christopher Lee couldn't deal with the contacts, to give him the Sith eyes. But that's an actor thing. But
Hmm.
canonically speaking, if I'm not mistaken, he doesn't have the Sith eyes because he never fully gives into the dark side.
Right. He just leverages it where he needs it, but
Right?
really
And
pretty much just yeah.
it obviously has detriment on his body, using the dark side because that's what the dark side does, regardless of how much you use it. But he never fully gives in and goes full Sith eyes and just obliterating people left and right, and uh, all that stuff. Now, obviously, he commands his droids to do that stuff, but that's war. It is what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
But he himself never, from what we've seen, does that.
Hmm.
And Balin definitely gives me like a Count Dooku vibe. Like I think of
I
Balin,
definitely
and I
get
think
that.
he's gonna do what he has to achieve his goals, but I kind of get the feeling that he's not going to do anything extra.
Hmm.
Like he's not going to kill these 50 prisoners over here just because he's evil and he can.
Yeah, he's not going to rip people out of their homes in the middle of the street just to make a point,
Right.
like we saw in Kenobi.
Yeah. It's like now if they're rebels, or I guess New Republic, and that he's been fighting against them, he might execute them as war,
Yeah.
prisoners of war, what have you. Sure, but I don't think so far from what we've seen, and granted, it's not a lot.
Yeah. And really,
By any means, it's not a lot.
these 2 episodes were rather slow,
Yeah.
but it did cover a lot, and I felt like it was I felt like it was a very strong kickoff to the show.
Yeah.
I thought it was good.
He just has like
But
almost like a tamed fury to him.
sure.
Whereas like your Darth Vaders and your Palpatines and your Darth Mauls have
Yeah.
no tameness to them.
Right.
Now, like Palpatine obviously has patience, but there's no tameness to Palpatine. Whereas
Yeah.
Balin definitely gives me a feeling of like a tamed fury. Like I wouldn't want to fight him because if you fight him, he's probably gonna whoop your ass. I definitely get that feel from him.
Yeah.
But it's like if you're willing to sit down and talk with him, I almost get the feeling like he's gonna sit down and talk with you. Whereas
Yeah,
like
he's
the rest,
he's
no.
composed
Darth
and
Vader's just gonna
logical.
break your neck. Maul's just gonna throw his lightsaber and kill you. Palpatine's gonna electrocute you.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, because we're talking about Balin here, I want to point out that is the actor that passed away. He's the one
Okay.
who died. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that I've seen him in a lot of other things, and I mean, it's easy once like somebody passes away to be like, oh, it's such a loss. 'Cause
Right.
it's like you don't freaking know them. It's like you don't. It's not like they're your father or something.
Right.
But I liked him. I liked a lot of. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anything where he's been the main character, but like it's like
Right.
crap. Like I liked him, but he is the one because I mentioned that to you. But prior to seeing this, you didn't watch any trailers or anything like that. So when I was pointing that out, and I'm like, oh shoot, Ray Stevenson died. It's like you don't know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's him,
Gotcha.
Balin. Oh, there was another parallel. Or a mirror, if you will. I don't know how you want to phrase it, but with Shin, whatever her name is, Padawan,
Oh yeah.
the probe droids.
Yep.
Yep.
Back to Phantom Menace again.
Right, with her scoping out the area, searching out for Sabine.
It cracks me up too because not only is it a parallel to Episode 1, Phantom Menace, it happens in Episode 1 of Ahsoka.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I think that's kind of cool that they do.
Episode 1 of Ahsoka did have a lot of parallels to Phantom Menace, and I thought that was really cool because, like I said, with the Jedi coming into the ship and all this stuff there, mixed with the literal same transition. I want to say another one in the first episode, but I don't recall what it was.
I almost think there's somewhat of a parallel to Sabine and Anakin.
Maybe
from Phantom Menace to Episode 1 here. Just kind of like in the sense that like Ahsoka first goes to Hera with the map, right? Because she's like, Hera's going to figure it out. She's going to get it done, yada, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
But then it almost seemed like Ahsoka didn't think of Sabine, and it wasn't until Sabine was pointed out that Ahsoka's like, she might be the answer to this. Just like in Episode 1, no one thinks anything of Anakin and Phantom Menace until Qui-Gon takes his midichlorian count and sees his work with working on droids and his reaction time and all that kind of stuff. He's like, okay, this might be the one with the answers. This might be the one we're looking for. This might be the one to get it done. And so it just kind of made me think of like Sabine and Anakin. Their potential is not realized until it's pointed out by someone or something. Someone and Sabine with Hera pointing it out, someone pointing it out, and then something pointing it out. Qui-Gon taking the midichlorian count and seeing it on his little device that he has, and it just kind of made me think of like, I mean, obviously they're not exactly the same by any means, but like I think there's some similarities.
I think that what you're saying there, like I get that. Obviously, there's not a lot of similarities, but that being like just kind of the structure of how people viewed them, and now all of a sudden it's like, well,
right.
I can kind of see where you're coming from with it.
Well, and it's even like because Qui-Gon first goes to what's his name, Watto, in episode 1 to
Yeah.
try and get their hyperdrive fixed and all that,
Right.
and it doesn't work, and then he has to turn to Anakin, whereas Ahsoka goes to Hera to get the map, and that doesn't work, so she has to turn to Sabine. And so it's just small little things like that I don't think a lot of people think of, that just kind of in the back of my mind, connections are being made, lines are being drawn from this point to that point.
So something else that I wanted to get your thoughts on, because I heard this kind of reasoning today, and I don't know how I feel about it. I really don't. But in the end of the first episode, Sabine goes against Shin, whatever her name. Hold on. I'm going to make sure her name, because I keep forgetting it.
I have a couple thoughts on that whole scene.
Let me double check the name.
And there's another parallel right back to episode 1, Phantom Menace.
Yep. Where is it? Yeah, Shin. It's Shin. That's her name. Anyway, yeah, okay. Freaking get stabbed. But and a lot of people are like, why is everybody getting stabbed? And the only person to die from it is Qui-Gon. And so now I have a potential reasoning to that, and I don't know how I feel about it, and I wanted your thoughts on it.
Okay.
But first off, obviously with Sabine's, it's off to the side. We can tell immediately that it's not going to be lethal. It's just, it's just the location.
Location.
Uh-huh. Everybody else that has been stabbed, we have Qui-Gon.
Mm-hmm.
We have Reva. We have Reva. We have Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah.
We have Han Solo.
Yeah.
There's probably more. But everybody, well, aside from Han Solo, but he also fell.
Right.
So but anyway, the reasoning that I heard was that those that survived were Sith primarily, so they were fueled by hate, similar to how Maul lived. It kind of has these weird elements to it that are unnatural because of how much they're giving into it and how much they're hating.
Right.
I don't know how I feel about that being the reasoning for a little kid surviving.
Right.
He was a Padawan. So that's the only exclusion. The other two, maybe, but I don't think. Plus they weren't in a place. They weren't in a place with Qui-Gon where he could get immediate medical condition or attention. And he was there, and he had learned how to live amongst the,
right.
out in the Force. So with that too, he was not afraid of death. He was like, oh, okay, I'm fine with going.
Right.
So there wasn't a fight.
I think there's some counterpoints to be made with that, though.
Yeah. Because there's some things with it. That's what I heard, but I was like, this doesn't sound quite right.
So I'll start with Qui-Gon.
But yes,
right.
I want your thoughts. So
number one, I don't think it's because Qui-Gon died because he wasn't afraid of death. Because I would argue in that moment in episode 1, he is afraid to die. Because as it's been said by I don't know how many different people, that fight scene between Anakin and Qui-Gon versus Darth Maul is dubbed the Duel of Fates. It's not the fate of Qui-Gon. It's not the fate of Obi-Wan. It's not the fate of Darth Maul. It is the fate of Anakin. And Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan lose that fight. They lose the Duel of Fates. Darth Maul, though he quote-unquote dies, right, if you're only watching live action, right, dies, Darth Maul wins that duel. Because the fate of Anakin in that fight is who's going to raise him? How is he going to be raised? Who is going to teach him? And at that time, the only person that could raise Anakin properly and teach him properly to where he doesn't fall to the dark side in episode 3 is Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan does his best, as we see, throughout episodes 2 and 3, did his best to raise Anakin as best as he could, in the Jedi Code and all that, but Obi-Wan's not prepared for that stuff. He's not in one with the Force the way Qui-Gon is. And obviously, if Darth Maul would have won, Anakin would have gone to the dark side anyways. Just a lot sooner. So with that, Qui-Gon knows that as well, right? Qui-Gon knows his apprentice. Qui-Gon knows the rest of the Order. Qui-Gon knows himself. Qui-Gon knows that if he dies, the galaxy is screwed in terms of the chosen one. Like, Qui-Gon
That's
is...
true.
He knows that he is Anakin's best chance. And so I would argue Qui-Gon would fight harder to not die in that instance. I kind of made a joke of his, location, but I do think that's a big factor in it. Because if you watch episode 1, where Qui-Gon gets stabbed, it's the lower abdomen, upward angle, center of back.
Yeah.
And so not only is he getting hit through, let's say his stomach, but he's getting his stomach, probably a lung or two, or lung, if not both, depending on, again, location of it. And probably, honestly, does damage to the spine as well.
Yeah.
And all of that. Whereas if we look at, like you said, Sabine, she gets caught in the side.
Yeah, it was
now, granted, there's some organs there, but
but
she gets caught in the side. It's not going through like her heart or her lungs or like destroying her bowels and all this other crazy stuff that could happen, right? If we look at Reva, I would argue the dark side has some play in it, as we see with Darth Maul when we watch Clone Wars, or the sequel trilogy with Palpatine, or if you even look at Legends, because a lot of people had a problem with Palpatine coming back in the sequel trilogy. Well, Palpatine comes back in the Legends as well. In the comics and stuff, Palpatine comes back in the comics as well. And people will swear by the comics and said they have all this great material for the comics, that they didn't use in the sequel trilogy. Well, they used some of it. They did. I'm still saying the sequel trilogy is not very good, but so don't take me, don't misunderstand there. But even with Reva, though, now her as a child, I don't understand. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Right. There's no way she has any connection with the dark side of the Force, and there's no way she's strong enough in the dark side of the Force at that time.
And that's where it kind of started falling apart for me. But then even now, thinking about your points, I'm like, nah, not quite.
Now, Reva in the Kenobi series, I could see how the dark side would influence that, and she survives that one. That one I get. Same thing with the Grand Inquisitor. I get. Palpatine says it in episode 3, the dark side is a path to many abilities, some seen as unnatural.
Right.
So those ones I get. The one that just doesn't make sense to me is little kid Reva, unless Anakin just had horrible aim. Maybe he had like an eyelash in his eye and he was off target. Maybe some like youngling ashes caught in his eyeball or something. I don't know.
Youngling ashes. Yeah, maybe.
So like that one, the little kid one doesn't make sense to me. But the other ones, yes, predominantly they're dark side, surviving this. But another point I've seen with the whole, lightsaber stab to the stomach or what have you, and a lot of people wonder like they shouldn't be alive, is like think of the heat of a lightsaber. Like we watched Qui-Gon in episode 1. Well, not just cauterizing, because the whole thing with the heat. We watch Qui-Gon cutting a hole through blast doors in a ship in episode 1. And then when they close the blast doors completely, he just jams in there and lets the heat melt it. Right?
Yeah.
We watch Luke cut off Darth Vader's robotic hand with a lightsaber. Like quick, sweet, done. Right? I'm trying to think of other ones. And
I guess for that matter, we see
droids get chopped down all the time. We see like Yoda cut completely through one of the AAT tanks for the Separatists.
But also, and going off of what you're saying too, like even thinking to this series alone, how she cut a hole in that chamber.
Right.
So I guess,
And
yeah.
how quickly she does it. Lightsabers are extremely hot, obviously. So not only, I mean, if it's a quick in and out, like half a second, sure, cauterize, no problem. But in all of these stabbing scenes throughout all of Star Wars, right, including Sabine Wren, it's not a quick in and out. It's an in, hold it for a second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, then pull it out. What is that heat doing
Yeah,
to
that's
all
true.
those
You're
internal
kind of
organs, all
basically
that
boiling
blood?
your organs as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
And I would argue as well that I think if we took, if you took a stopwatch and timed it, how long the lightsaber is in someone's body, I think Qui-Gon has the lightsaber in his body when he gets stabbed the longest.
Yeah, maybe.
So not only is he stabbed through vital organs and potentially hitting his spine, I believe Darth Maul's saber is in Qui-Gon longer than any other scenes. So it's just doing all that extra damage from the heat.
Yeah, maybe. That makes sense, I guess.
But yeah,
Something
the one
else.
outlier is still Reva, little kid Reva. That one I still don't understand. But
Yeah.
I mean, this works for all the other stab scenes, but that one.
Yeah. So something
I
else.
just had this thought. I don't know why.
Oh,
It just came into my mind. Sorry. Thinking back to Reva as a little kid and then her coming back again and getting stabbed by Darth Vader again. My mind just went to Thanos with Thor. You should have gone for the head. I'm just like, Anakin, you should have gone for the head.
yeah. That's funny. The last little note that I wrote down and the last thing that I noticed was actually way earlier on. Well, in my notes. It got to the end of the episode of Ahsoka, so episode 2, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, wait a minute. Hera has a kid.
Yeah.
I kind of forgot about
Where's
that.
the little shat?
Yeah, Jason somewhere in there. Wasn't that his name? Is that what they named him?
I don't remember. I don't know if they ever named him.
They did, but I don't recall what his. I thought it was Jason or something like that. So that was the last thing that I noticed. I was just like,
Yeah.
wait a minute. I wonder where he's at.
I'm thinking of the timeline now as well. Because Rebels ends, not including that last scene, which we now know ends after the fall of the Empire, right? Rebels, in terms of the rebellion versus the Empire, ends, what, five years before Episode 4?
So around the end of Rebels was 1 BBY. The entirety of it takes place, I think, from 5 to 1.
Okay, so 5 to 1. So let's go 1 year, one BBY. Ezra's how old? 13 at that point,
Roughly. Yeah.
right? Sabine, I believe, is probably 16 or 17. I think she's a little older than Ezra. Hera would be early mid 20s, because we see Hera in Bad Batch as a kid. So Hera's mid 20s.
Not so much a kid, but younger.
Right.
Well,
no, she's a kid in
she was
in Bad Batch.
Bad Batch, yeah, I remember.
And then
that
Ahsoka would be what, mid 30s?
Now, yeah. Oh well, during Rebels, yeah.
Yeah, during Rebels she would be mid 30s. So I think she's like 17 or 18.
At the end of the Clone Wars, she's out of your age range. And now, yeah, no, she was like 17 or 18 at the end. At the end of the show.
And so, if we watch Tales of the Jedi, where we see Ahsoka, where she kills that one Inquisitor, she's probably 19-ish.
Yeah.
You know, so Ahsoka would be like mid to late 30s, probably 38, 39, right? Somewhere in there by the time the Battle of Yavin happens. So at this point in the Ahsoka show, she's what, like 44, 45?
Yeah.
Right around there.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
And then if you extend this as well, another, let's say, 15 years to the sequel trilogy, she's, what, 60s?
Yeah.
So I still argue Ahsoka's alive by the end of The Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, I mean, more than likely.
But
Also,
people argue she's not because you hear her voice
can I ask you
at the
something?
end of that one.
At any point throughout trying to figure out people's ages, were you in the vicinity of a point?
What do you mean?
I don't understand where you were going with it.
It's something that I'm always thinking about when it comes to these shows, and we have these characters.
You're trying to guess if it's okay to be thinking about them the way that you think
No.
about them.
No,
That's
Jacob,
why you're
that is
always
not.
like,
You are trying to make me seem like a creep,
old is Hera's kid?
and you need to stop it.
You
Hera's son would be like, let's see,
I mean,
end of
probably like
Rebels.
3 or
He's
4.
like, okay, and then we tack on 5 years for 4, 5, and 6. Tack on another 7 years. He's like 14, 15-ish.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. Yeah.
Anyway, okay. Well, I don't know if you have any closing comments, but I'm through my notes, my things I pointed out, and I don't know if you have anything. That's why I'm asking now. But I think that we'd probably be nearing the end. Talking about it overall.
That weird ship that Morgan is having built.
Oh, yes.
Where they're taking all the hyperdrives and
yep.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And I mean, I think it's just a very large and stronger light speed thing to dock like something in and try to transport to that. Maybe not even necessarily dock in, I don't know, but it's something to get them to where that distant faraway galaxy.
Yeah, and that makes me wonder too, because Morgan even talks about these visitors from a far distant galaxy thousands of years ago that built this temple, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
And that does make me think of the Zepho from Jedi Survivor and Fallen Order.
Yeah.
That makes me think of them.
I'm insanely intrigued because even thinking about them, but whatever it is, it's something we haven't seen before.
Right, it's something we haven't seen before. But then it also makes me wonder about the Yuzong Vong from the comics, from Legends. Because the Yuzong Vong are a race from a different galaxy that are resistant to the Force. And the whole thing with Palpatine in Legends is he started the Clone Wars and built the Empire and all that, preparing for the Yuzong Vong invasion. He wanted the galaxy strong, standing as one, obviously with him ruling, to repel the Yuzong Vong invasion. In the Legends, the Yuzong Vong invade during the events of canon 7 or 8, 9, and 10, or 7, 8, and 9. 20 years or 30 years after the fall of the Empire. And in the Yuzong Vong invasion, it is the New Republic, if I'm not mistaken, the New Republic fighting the remnants of the Empire, fighting the Yuzong Vong, fighting the criminal organizations that have come together. And so it makes me wonder, because we see Boba Fett bringing the criminal organizations together. We see the New Republic at the height of its power. We see the remnants of the Empire coming back up, looking for their leader, Grand Admiral Thrawn, who in Legends was leading the remnants of the Empire against the Yuzong Vong. So I'm wondering if we're going to see the Yuzong Vong invasion sooner than what was done in Legends.
That's interesting. Obviously, we're venturing into
wondering as well
here, but
I'm wondering as well if Morgan is not going. I'm wondering if she's going to accidentally find the Yuzong Vong looking for Thrawn and lead them to this galaxy.
Ooh. I'm looking up pictures, see what these things look like, and what the heck they look like. Those freaking what are those things that the Falmer and Sketch? That's an interesting.
Yeah.
That's a cool thought. I don't know. I'm not too knowledgeable
So
on legends. I don't know those kind of things. But
yeah,
just
and
if
so
I
it
were
really
to just
makes me
immediately
wonder because like all
trust
the
what
pieces are
you're
lining up. You know,
saying,
all the pieces are lining up. We've got the criminal organizations under Boba Fett coming together. We've got the New Republic at this power, the remnants of the Empire coming forth. You know, having their plans and all that.
the search for Thrawn.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
It really makes me wonder if Dave Filoni and them are going to bring the Yuzon Vong from Legends to canon.
That'd be pretty cool.
Because you still have Luke out there doing his thing as well, and Luke fights against the Yuzong Vong in Legends as well, and he struggles fighting them because they're so resistant to the Force.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And he, where he's at right
Mm.
now, even
mm-hmm. Building his
obviously
temple,
it would be earlier than
right?
what you had said, but huh.
And then you also have the Mandalorians and the Mandalorian retaking Mandalore and trying to reestablish their people on their home planet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
We got some
I mean, like,
interesting,
granted, in terms of canon, war is obviously coming at some point, anyways, because of episode 7, 8, and 9. But the way all of these factions are popping up, you know, gathering their strength, gathering their forces, you know, trying to dig into their strongholds, all this stuff, it seems like war is coming sooner than the First Order showing up. And I mean, they've got, I guess, 23 more years now.
Yeah.
Before the First Order shows up and the events of Episode 7 happen. So, I mean, there's plenty of time to have a Yuzong Vong war go off with all of these different groups, and I could see Ahsoka and Hera, Zeb, Ezra, Sabine. I could see them partaking in it, and with Sabine being Mandalorian, I could see bringing in Mando and the Mandalorians with Satine, or not Satine, with
Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan. And with those Mandalorians popping up and the connection that Mando has with Boba Fett, I could see him being brought in because of that. I could see the New Republic being pulled in because of, you know, being the New Republic, and also Hera being a general of the New Republic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, obviously the Empire with Thrawn and the animosity between Thrawn and the crew of the Ghost. You know, I mean, it's all setting. It's getting set up. I can see it happening.
Yeah, whether it does or not, who knows? But that makes.
And I would even wonder too that if those movies that I mentioned at the beginning of this episode that they've been working on, I'm wondering if they're going to do all the setup in these TV shows, and one of these movies is going to be the war actually kicking off and happening.
I mean, who knows? But that'd be cool.
I think that'd be really cool. They do all the, you know, the setup and stuff in these TV shows with great storylines, with great characters that we know and love, new characters introduced, you know.
Yeah.
And they have this big old movie that comes out in theaters, you know, to give us the Yuzong Vong War with all these characters all brought together. I think that would be so cool, and that's my running theory of what's going to happen.
Interesting.
And if they don't do a movie with it, I foresee some big crossover. You know, between
like
Book of Boba Fett, Mando, Ahsoka. I know they had talked about they're going to be doing a show for Bo-Katan as well.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
So I could see them taking all these shows once they've established them, bring them all together, and have like a 4-episode crossover similar to the Arrowverse with Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, all of them, where in those shows they do like part 1 takes place in Arrow, part 2 takes place in the Flash, part 3 takes place in Supergirl. I could see them doing something like that, where like part 1 takes place in Mando, part 2 takes place in Ahsoka, part 3 takes place in Book of Boba Fett.
I feel like kind of weird to try to balance.
Right. Well, and it would be like, I don't know, 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 like, I don't it wouldn't be to where you only follow Ahsoka in the part that takes place in Ahsoka, right? You would still see all the other characters, and it would jump back and forth between all
Yeah.
of them. But it'd be something to show that these are all tied together.
Yeah, but I'm saying like trying to balance all those shows would be kind of
Right.
interesting. But
Well, and because the Arrowverse, they call it Arrowverse because it started with the Arrow show.
yeah, I know what you mean.
They do it that way, and they have like Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Supergirl. They have Black Lightning. They just started another one, I think, a year or two ago with a Superman one with the actor that plays Superman in that show, or in those shows for some of the crossovers they do. And they find a way to balance some of that stuff, to where it's not too hectic, and these different parts flow into one another very well and whatnot. But I think that'd be a cool way to go about it, and that's my theory. My theory for closing comments is we're gonna see some sort of Yuzong Vong war. If not Yuzong Vong, then it's gonna be a giant war against the remnants of the Empire.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping it's Yuzong Vong because it'd be so freaking cool.
Well, I am sweating because it is very hot where I'm at, and I am eager to open that door and enter into AC because it is a window unit and it's not in here. And I don't have any more notes. I think you wrapped up your closing thoughts there. If any of the listeners have stuck around this long, first off, thank you. You are a trooper. We love you. If you are around now, let us know your thoughts. This was obviously a bit different of a format. It was, all over the place, but it was more of a. I mean, this is the kind of discussion that Evan and I would have, having just watched a new show, a new part of a show, and immediately called each other.
I always have to wait for Jacob to call because I always end up watching it first.
yeah, that's true. But let us know what you think. Be sure to leave us, a review on Spotify, written review on Apple. You can email us, message, whatever. Check out. Yeah, the YouTube channel is Star Wars. So we also cover other topics here, but I don't know of anything else. Just definitely give us some input on what you think of this style. It's just kind of rattling on in a way, but also, do you enjoy hearing that sort of stuff? I don't know. Bye.
Deuces.